Organization's Interim Asia Regional Director, and he's speaking to us from Bangkok. Thanks so much for joining us. Now, you've got teams on the ground in both Thailand and Myanmar, but when it comes to Myanmar in particular, what are they seeing and what are the difficulties that they're having right now?
Well, I think certainly I recall the earthquake in Turkey and Syria way back in 2023, which, in the first 72 hours, and we've just passed the 72-hour mark now with this earthquake, it was quite difficult to get clear and strong information about the totality of the situation. We have been in contact with a community worker from one of the 6 regions in Myanmar, which has been very badly affected. And in these 6 regions, there are 28 million people living, and there are about 6.7 million children. So not everybody will be affected, but it's a huge number of people and who are potentially at risk of this earthquake. And indeed, many of them have been affected massively, including deaths of some. As you say, more than 1,700 people confirmed so far. We were in touch with a community worker from Shan, which is one of the regions which has been very badly hit. And he's from a small township. He's a father of 2 young children. And he said in the small township, 200 buildings had collapsed immediately. Just after the earthquake, children and families were running into the streets, screaming, absolutely petrified of the scale and the impact of the earthquake. And so, really devastating. Life-saving is what is needed right now. Those activities are critical. But as you say, we are here at the 72-hour mark. And after the 72 hours, the likelihood of finding survivors decreases very quickly. So while we're providing life-saving support, people need shelter, they need medicine, they need food, and they need water. And really, this is going to be, it is a devastating earthquake. And I think we'll be seeing, getting more and more information to build that overall picture in the coming weeks. It really is that complex because infrastructure is broken, roads have been destroyed, and communications are down in many areas. So very, very complex.
Very complex indeed. And Jeremy, you mentioned there, of course, that so many children, millions of children are affected. It's the demographic that your group works most closely with. And children often suffer the most in these kinds of disasters, and not just right now, but in the coming weeks, even the years ahead. What kind of support will they need, and what is the kind of support that you would be able to provide as an international organization in Myanmar?
Yeah, so that's really the absolute key to all of this, and thank you for bringing that up. I think in the first instance, in the first hours, in these first 3 days afterwards, children, frankly, will be very upset, very traumatized. And as you say, the impacts of this will not stay with them just for a couple of hours or a few days. They will have a huge, impact in the coming months, etc. And as such, we can provide very important support for children's mental welfare. And this is something which we are absolutely planning to do. But the other thing about this is some children will inevitably have lost their parents, which is an added tragedy in this catastrophe. And we will be needing to support those children with very key and specialist interventions around their protection going forward to make sure that they are as well as can be. And I think for the majority of children, one of the things that we really look to be doing is to make sure that children can get back to some sense of normality as soon as possible. And for those schools that are still intact and that are safe for children to go into, it's very important that we try and get schools and support getting schools up and running as soon as possible, just to give children a sense of that normality, which is going to be desperately needed over the coming days and weeks.
Thank you so much for speaking to us and explaining how that all works. Jeremy Stoner from Save the Children, appreciate your time.